I'm on voice 5 days a week. Not on the weekends, but today's going to be a special day. And I'm now live, so I'm going to go ahead and not on the weekends, but today's going to be a special day. I'm going to turn down my voice so I won't hear myself. And I'm going to send the link. I'm on voice Monday through Friday. So I'm live on YouTube right now, and there's my link. This is got a 7-second delay, and there's a chat room in here where you can chat, or you can type into the chat. So that's going to be cool, and this is going to do the same thing we did a couple weeks ago. Give me just 1 second. All right. So everybody, type in the room if you got a question or you want me to look at a stock. And I'm going to draw up trend lines for your stock that you're interested in. You can still hear me live there, Joe, but you can see me draw the charts in the pattern what I'm doing on YouTube. Subscribe. I want everybody to subscribe to not this channel, but I'm gonna later on post a link to. Well, you can subscribe to this channel, but I also want you to subscribe to I Love Stocks YouTube channel. That Vegas and I do our aftermarket report on Monday through Thursday, and then we do another one on Sunday, and we skip Friday. We like to refresh everybody's mind on Sunday. All right, Jamie. So anybody, I'm going to go over my watch list. Then we can go over a few other things. But we just talked about ALQA. That was my stock of the week, stock of the day Friday. And I played a couple others. But I really like this one, the action on this. I like how it pulled back to support again. So I'm definitely going to keep a good eye on this one here come Monday. And if it don't act like it should, we'll give it a couple days rest. Maybe a week's rest because it was unbelievable. But hopefully people will have a memory and we can get back and play this one again. Usually they like to bounce off the 50. But this one was going over that 50 and dipping to the 100, which to me was an easy way to scalp this baby. And then once it started, that 50 SMA dropped down over the 100 and the 200, that's when I noticed a sign of weakness. Now you can see that. You can see that right in here, right in this area in here, where that 50 days started crossing down over the 100. So that's when you see how it raised above it. It tried to touch down here, and it squeezed a little bit, but then bam, you had a bigger bounce. So people were very interested in it. But once that 50 started crossing down, especially when it crossed down over the 200, the stock just dropped. You see how that knife came? So we got out of it, and I told everybody I started seeing this crossover, that was the sign of weakness. That was the clue telling me that I needed to be more patient with it. So I told everybody in the room, I said, it's time to get out, let this thing rest, let it pull back and do its thing, and we might be able to play off the knives or the bounces that we're going to get on this thing. And if it did, it was going to bounce up to that 50 all the way down, and that's what it exactly did. See, these three moving averages work great for me. I mean, I've seen so many people, oh, if, they talk about the EMAs and they talk, oh, if it don't hold this, then they forget about the stock. But I'm still on it because I'm using a simpler moving average. It's more slower and it's more relaxed and it's stronger. So when they do hit them moving averages, they usually bounce up off of them or they hit them and pull back. And that's how I use these. If I'm on the 50 and it's going to bounce up to the 100, I'll call that my pivot point, maybe an exit point. If I start seeing a little bit of weakness, but if it breaks above that 100, maybe goes up to the 200, that's going to be my other resistance. So I use them as pivot points and as resistance. And plus I use my trend lines. And that's the ones I use the most. And that's the most I rely on is my trend lines over anything. And I've developed this system in took me, some people it could take them, a week. But I've been doing it for 14 years. And so I've adapted pretty much. I can find a resistance. I can find the supports. And I'm not always right. But a lot of times I'm off within pennies. And that's what we got to learn how to do. So there's a couple other ones. And I like setting my charts up. I put 4 charts on the screen because I get a bigger picture of it. My time in sales. You always got to be watching that tape. But I can tell by looking at a year's chart within 15 seconds if I want to play a stock or not. They can tell me where, if it's like this one here, it's just got great up and down action. ALQA, you could see by the whole year. And if I was to draw a low support on this stock right now, it'd be right around 160 because I'm hitting all these bottom channels, maybe a little bit higher, around 163. And I'll just keep drawing these little places where they consolidate, and that's basically how I start off. I try to line them up from here, and I see this consolidated period where it bounced up and pulled back. History always repeats itself, and I say that every day in the chat room. I want people to understand that stocks, you just don't want to erase the history of a stock. So that's why I pull up these 1-year charts. That's why I pull it. And if we break past resistance on a 1 year like we did here, see, I'd probably go to a 3-year to look when I was looking for other resistances when this breakout. This thing was up at 22.97, and it's pulled all the way back to $1.55 year low. So that's 3 years. It's a sell-off. So we're starting to see the momentum pick up. The 200 SMA's up here at $14. And you can see that little channel right here where it looks like a pretty good little resistance between right in here and right in here. You got another one right here at 737. So we definitely want to keep this on watch again Monday, and just keep it on your watch list for a week, because you might hear it pop up on the scanner again, and we'll be back in business. And I don't forget about these stocks. I have at least, I got a bunch of watch lists, and I got them broke down in sectors. And everybody knows what sector I like the most right now, and that's the pot sector. And they all kind of pulled back themselves. So, anybody else have any more questions? Yeah, can we take a look at, okay, we're going to kind of do what we did last time, okay? I want to write down some of these stocks here. RGSE. Then after this, I don't want nobody writing any tickers in here until I say so. Then I'm going to say next, and the first one that pops up in the screen is going to get looked at. We're going to do this for about an hour and a half. I'm just now starting to wake up, so I just had me a nice little nap. CEI. I'm going to write these numbers down, and I appreciate it if you all did too. I jumped in RIG, RIG Friday, so I swung that for the weekend. And it looked to me like it was really nice, and it did pop up there into close. ACB. What are you guys saying about ACB, Jamie? Can you look at ACB and let me know what you think? Also, DNR looking good at $2. Okay, these are the four we're going to talk about right now. RG, so everybody get your stock ready. And when I say next, and you'll know when it's starting to come, because I'll kind of pause a little bit and say I'm done with this one. Then I'm going to take a drink of coffee and say next. And that's the one we're going to look at. But for right now, we're going to look at RGSE, which we've all been watching. It's at solar stock. This is a bottom play. And we had a nice little bounce up on it too yesterday. I'm going to pull the chart up here. We had that low. If I've seen this knife, I would have jumped in it. And everybody knows I don't like to swing any of these stocks that are under $1, unless it's really got some great news or some more. I'll jump in them on the run, you know, and then I'll take them up or however it does. But this has been on our watch list, and if I'd have caught this knife at 53 cents, I'd have jumped all over this stock. There'd been no doubt, because we've had it on. We're positive, we're bullish on this stock. Here's a 5-day chart. Now I want you to look at this 5-day. When that knife happened, it pulled back to support. That was a previous low, where it come down and it touched at 54.43. So when that knife came at 53, I'd have tried to jump in this thing and went ahead and run it on back up to this resistance right around in here. You know, this high resistance is 62, but, you know, that's a 6 cents bounce. And if you buy a couple shares of it, a couple shares, a couple thousand, you know, about $1,000 investment, you could have made, you know, an easy $120 on that trade. And that's a pretty good percentage. In and out, you know, I don't like to see anybody asking questions and, you know, is this going to be a swing or something? You should already know yourself by the action of the stock and the history and the news if you want to swing it or not yourself. But I always give you a resistance, or mostly I'll tell you, no, I don't swing stocks unless they really look good. And I will not swing a stock that had a breakout. I will get out and take my profit and wait for the pullback, because they always do it. Always. One out of maybe 1,000 will keep going up, but you're going to get a pullback. And if it's bullish and you're positive and it's got great news, you can get right back in it the next day and make, you know, 30, 40 cents off of the previous high. And a lot of times when they do have a big breakout, the next breakout ain't going to be that high. It's going to be half of that high. Like you see in this chart right now. It did not want to finish back up there at that 62 cents. So in your head, and it hits that support, you want to get out when it starts to consolidate. And that consolidated period's right in here. But you see, you know, so you could draw a trend line on down. And I bet you the next time we come in here, it might be less of a bounce. We'll come in here tomorrow. If it touches the support or goes down, maybe to 56, it might bounce up higher. But if it goes back down to here, this 54, you might get it up to about right around in here, right around 56, 57. So you expect probably to go half that distance, unless the momentum, and then it'll consolidate and make up its mind where it wants to go. But you just keep watching the patterns, just keep watching how they roll. And you see how on how I still have the same moving averages, and I don't use them on this time frame. I'm going to start educating myself on different time frames because they all work, but I'm just accustomed to the 1 year daily and the daily 1 minute for right now. But I need to implement those other different time frames I have, which is the 20-day, the 10-day, and the 5-day, and I have a 15-minute and a 5-minute on the 5-day. But I got to learn them patterns because I'll pull up. This is the 5-day 5-minute, and the moving averages are all different. So you got to recognize which one's best that fits the way you trade, or the way they pull back, or maybe the momentum of the stock. And if these moving averages fail, I always rely on the VWAP. If I hear the scanner pop up and say a ticker that's on the VWAP, I'm going to look at it because that means it's touching up to that VWAP again, and it could break out again. And if it does that, I'm going to go in and I'm going to look at my moving averages because they usually fail once it hits the VWAP. And that could be another low support that would maybe bring me back up to that first support, and I'd get out. And that's another thing I want to explain. You have you have what you call a support, a pivot point, and a resistance. And every time they change, like if you broke the pivot point and it hit the resistance, I would turn around and make that, and it hesitated, I would make that pivot point a support. Or if it was on support and it run up to the pivot point, I'd wait and I'd study the chart pattern, and if it decided to go ahead and jump up or pull back, I would call that pivot point of resistance and make the support, and I'd keep playing it that way, if that makes any sense. And that's kind of what we were doing with ALQA. I was bouncing off the 100 SMA, hoping it would hit the 50, and if it did hit the 50 and bounce above the 50, I'd go ahead and sell it and get out fast as I could. But I always like to sell stock while it's in the strength. I don't like to be the last one in there deciding to sell, because you usually get stuck. So yeah, I get out maybe 2 or 3 cents in a run earlier than everybody else, but they're stuck in that stock. Well, I'm already out with my profit. And I'm going to play that again when it dips, and I'm going to get back in it, and I'm going to make more money because they're still stuck up there in that stock waiting for it to hit that resistance again, and I'm down here at the pivot point making another 30, 40 cents on the trade. So yes, I'm going to be in and out of it. That's just the way I do it. And I've just so many times been stuck by hoping and waiting. It's going to go up. It's going to go up. It's going to break resistance, and then it pulls back drastically. But I'm already out of it. I'm waiting for the pullback to hit my supports, and I'm back in it. And if you can identify when to get out, and it's usually when I get out, it's when I see some kind of hesitation because they pull back. People start thinking, okay, they start getting inexperienced traders, people that don't know how to trade and want to get out, and it's just, and then they start selling it off. They start using fear, but I'm here waiting for it to hit my support level so I can get back in it. And I don't forget about a stock. I've been watching tops for 14 years. I played tops when it was at $5 a share. I played it when it was at 3. I played it when it was at 2. Then, now here we are down here at $1. Way oversold. Way oversold. But I'm going to keep playing it because this thing will bounce up and pull back. It does it every time. It hits that 115, and I tell everybody that's my place. And if we don't break that 115, I'm already out of it. But that 15 is a very important number to me. It's a very solid resistance if we get down to $1 or below it. And if we get above it, it's a very good support. Like if it does break out to 130, which it won't. It will, but in most cases, it's going to hit that 115 and pull back now. But, in time, we could see this back up to $3 again. So now, next one we'll look at an RGSE. I think I talked about that, didn't I? Yeah, talked about RGSE, so CEI. I'm going to pull up the years chart. Let's look at the years chart on CEI. What's it tell you? Can you tell me what it tells you? Because I know what it's telling me. It's telling me that we had a high up here around 378, and we've had a hard sell-off. Just red, 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 red. Down here at around 13.4. So it's a bottom. It's way oversold. And I'm going to look at the news. And I got news up here, you know. I like to look at the news, find out why it's, what's going on. Why is it down so much? Late Friday announced it received notification. Okay, here you go. This is why I would not play this stock. And it would be out of my I would not trade it. Because it already flunked my first test, the news. Chamber Energy late Friday announced it received notification of New York Stock Exchange of America listing deficiency due to its stock trading at a low share price for an extended period of time. So that's very negative. Very negative on this stock. It's just in a bad way right now. But as gas prices decline, so will this stock too. As you know, because there's less profit. We're overstocked. Plus, America now is #1 country that drills oil. Out of all, and we don't care about NATO anymore. We don't care about these other countries because we're going to start making money ourselves on it. Because probably America is probably one of the less polluted countries, and there's a lot of polluted countries out there. So I'm looking at CEI, and I'm just saying it's not for me. But I'm going to look at take another glance, maybe at a 10-day, 20-day chart. So we know the bottom's right around here at 13 cents, 13.4. So if I was going to play this, and I want to put it on my watch list, I'm going to put me a little trend line around here at 13.84, and I'm going to set me an alert right at 13.84, and I'm going to set it at the ask below. Then I'm going to go ahead and create me an alert. So if this thing touches back down to this bottom here, because I'm not going to chase this thing and hope it's going to run up here to the 100, because the news is not there for me. You know, I just don't want to take the risk. But if it pulls back to maybe, and I'm watching the news, it pulls back to this 14 cents, I'll probably jump in it. Maybe. And then I'm going to draw me a couple of other trend lines here where I think it can go to. See, I had this up here. I was playing this when it was up here at 20, up here. So we definitely sold off pretty bad here in a 20-day chart. So this could rebound. I mean, if the momentum picks up and the volume picks up on the stock, we could run it back up here to this 16, back up here to these moving averages. But for now, you know, I'm not too interested in it. But I'll come in here Monday and I'll watch the action on it. And if I see a real hard dip to that 14, I might jump into it at, you know, at 13.84, maybe, and run it up here to maybe the 100 SMA, or somewhere where I think the next resistance is going to be. And I like this spot right here, and see how I'm drawing these lines in here? I'm looking for places that leveled out. I'm looking for where I can follow the bases of the candlesticks. Just about like that, right around 15. Then I got another one right in here, and I got a high maybe right up in here. See where it touched right there? See how it's kind of touched down right in here? You know, create a little support. Then we have a little resistance, another resistance, and it pulled all the way back and just bam, man, that was a bad day there, wasn't it? And see, I'd have jumped in this stock on that day. If I was watching this stock, I would have probably jumped in and took it up for a couple. It's not worth it. You know, I have to get at least 3 to 4 cents out of this trade. 5 cents if I want to make this trade. So keep it on watch. I wouldn't play it because I don't like the news. And then ACB, everybody knows I like ACB. I didn't say next yet, Romeo. But I'll put it on there. You got to wait until I say next to put your ticker in. Then the first one that puts the ticker in is the one I'm going to be watching. The one I'm going to do. So ACB, let's look at that one. Look at this bottom play that we've seen down here, 463, that big gap. I called this out in the room, if y'all remember. I said, get in this stock, man. That gap, I don't know if people in the room remember me calling this dip a couple weeks ago. I said, this is a buy, a strong buy, because I'm really hot and I love this stock, and it's oversold. I'm going to show you why it's oversold. I'm going to pull up a year's chart. And now, if you look at all them lines on there, I played the hell out of this stock, man. I've played the heck out of it. But you see, we had the big, this is a year. And here, and we bounced on, dipped on down, hit that bottom, and we bounced right back to that resistance up here, you see? That 1230 something. So here we did again, we pulled that same stunt, and we're back down here at that support level. And we had that big gap. I said, it's time to play this stock again. And then it ran all the way up to about $6. So that was a $2 flip. Not a $2, but it was a $1.40 flip. I would have swung this stock even at that low price right down there. So we're still bullish on this stock. I'm going to pull up I'm going to see if we had any different news. U.S. global hemp markets slated hemp industry. Aurora Canvas invests $7.5 million in Alberta Marijuana Company, High Tide. I was trying to figure what this High Tide thing is, so I had to look that up. So yeah, they're investing money. This is just the beginning of what I think's going to be like the .com era. You have a bunch of companies come out, and only about 5 or 6 of them will be really good. Same as the auto industry. When they first started building cars, there was all kinds of companies out there building cars, but Ford was, one that take the top of the list, and Chevy, and so only a few of them survived. And then here we are with NIO and all these new electric cars coming out now, and only a few of them are going to survive. You see, GM's already failed. They're closing down plants on their small cars. They're going back to building the big SUVs and the blah blah blahs, the trucks. Nobody wants to buy these little bitty cars because they're afraid they're going to get crushed in them. People don't know how to drive. I'd rather drive a tank and be safe than a little bitty car and get squashed. I just can't stand the way people drive anymore, so that's why I drive a truck. I've had past 10 years here in Springfield, had a drunk driver going 70 miles an hour without his headlights on in a westbound lane going eastbound, run a stoplight, and I T-bolted him right in the middle of the intersection, and my truck flipped over end in the air 3 times. And I just bought a brand new Toyota Tacoma, and I didn't have it for 3 months, and I thought I died because I seen this big cloud hit me. I seen a red, then I seen this big cloud, and then it knocked me out and went in a puff of smoke. And then when I woke up, I was climbing out of the top of my truck, and this lady opened up, was there. I said, man, I don't see how you could walk out of this wreck. This was about 1:30 in the morning when I was going to work. And I've had 2 wrecks like that in the past 10 years where they totaled out my truck. And then so I just always made sure I had a solid automobile, because Springfield drivers, they don't know how to drive. And I just don't want to risk my life. So ACB, we're bullish on. I'm going to bring this down to a 20-day chart. And I called this little breakout, and it ran all the way up to my resistance levels. So I was calling this resistance, because it kept touching up here, and then went ahead and broke on out and run up to that 620. So this is like a solid resistance, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change this to a red line, so I can tell myself later in time that I like this hard resistance, and maybe I might want to get back out of it and wait for a pullback. But if the news is worthy, I might stay in it. So ACB, we're bullish on it. Keep it on watch. I think we can probably run up to this, keep going up here and hit this 621, and that's where we want to start, or maybe pull back to about 564, somewhere in here. So always in these pot stocks, always when you start seeing a consolidated area, more or less consider if you want to get in or you want to get out, and wait for the pullback and get back in on the dip. And the last one, DNR. Then we're going to say something here in a second. So get your fingers ready. DNR, I'm going to pull up the year's chart. It's always what I do first. Look at that. See, that looks a lot different than this, don't it? You don't get a whole picture of what's going on here. This picture is telling me it's going up and down a little bit, and it keeps going lower and lower and lower. This picture is telling me that it had a wonderful run from $1.58 all the way up to $6.75. That's just a beautiful yearly run. And then all of a sudden we had this big hard sell-off. So something had to happen. Earnings maybe on this date right here, or something happened. So we're going to check it out. We're going to go back to 1010 on the news. And I'm going to read what happened on 1010, or a little bit before. See, I don't see nothing why this, yeah, resources. I don't see no reason. Oh, they bought something. They bought something here. Penn, Virginia on 1028 for $1.7 billion transaction. So maybe they had some share structure change here or something. Yeah, they get 12.4 shares, common stock, and 25 maybe million in cash, or $25 for each share of Penn. So yeah, so they swapped shares and stuff. Then I'm going to check out the earnings. They're spending a lot of money. Okay, here we go. Third quarter EPS, 13 cents a share, beats 11. Sales were 394 million, beats 350. So on 11/8, it had great news about this stock I can be very interested in. DNR I can be very interested in because it's sold off. We're down here at a low. I'm going to erase all these trend lines because I've been playing this before. And we'll start fresh here. I see a little resistance right here at 252. I see one right there at 234. I see one here at 217, and I see a bottom right here around 207. I'm going to define this up. I'm going to put one more trend line on here, right there at 274. So that's a 70-cent bounce right there alone. And look, I'm going to go back in time and notice my trend lines that I drew in here line up pretty good with history back in here. See? Pretty much they line up pretty good. Maybe I could bring one up right here, 224. Now I'm going to bring this down to a 20-day. And I'm going to draw a couple more trend lines in here. I'm going to see one right here that I like. And I could bring it right up to here maybe. Yep. Then I'm going to draw one right up here. And another one right in around in here. That looks a little bit better right there. Then we kind of got a little gap fill in here. So I'll put that right there. So I'm bullish on this stock right now. I like the news. I like the earnings. I like the pullback. And I got a nice little channel where I can probably bounce this up and hit these moving averages. So I'm going to bring it now to just a 1 day. And I'm going to draw another trend line right here. Another one here. So yeah, it dipped down below my, right in here. And then now we're at 208. And that's, see how that support level at 208 is? So yeah, I'm going to put this on my watch list first thing Monday morning. DNR. I want to try to take it up to these trend lines, and I'm going to pull up the 5 day. And I'm going to pull up the 10 day, and then I'm just going to decide where I think I might take it to. So let's see if we can get this back up here to 224. Then we'll decide from there. Did you get that, Jamie? Okay, how do you get the yellow price marks? I got a video for that in my channel here. But how you do it is you go up to, I'll just do it live right here. You go to the trend line that you draw. You right click it, and you go to properties. Once you right click that on, you have the left extension on, you have the right extension on, you do not show the name, then you show the price. So on the price, you can open it up, you can show it anywhere you want. You do not show, you can show it on the left, or you can show it on the right. I show it on the left. So then I go down here and I decide what color trend line I want and everything. Then I hit save as default. Then you save it as default. Then you hit OK. And every trend line you draw, that price will come up. So remember, right click the trend line, edit properties, left extension, right extension. Then you turn this on to the left or the right, wherever you want it. I like it over here because I don't want it messing with I don't want it in the way. I like to keep it fresh and simple. I got the numbers over here, so every trend line I see here, I know that's 235, okay? 234. And I'll just look over here to where I fine-tuned it. Hit default. Okay. That's how you get the prices on there. You got that, Nightcracker? I like that name. Or Nightcrawler. Nightcracker. Sorry about that. When I lived in Oregon, we used to take a big old stick and shove it in the ground, and we'd vibrate that stick, and all of a sudden you'd have tons of night crawlers coming up out of the ground, and we'd take them and go fishing with them. Big fat night crawlers. Just take that stick and shove it in the ground and vibrate it, and the worms think they're having an earthquake or something, and all of a sudden they just start jumping up out of the ground. And you got a dozen, 3 or 4 dozen worms in a matter of a couple minutes on a rainy day. So get ready, Romeo. Next one that puts a stock ticker in the window is the one I'm going to look at. Okay, RSAU, and then stop. These next two I'll look at. RSAU and NVLN. First one we're going to look at is going to look at the yearly chart. I'm going to type in the ticker. And I would really appreciate it if you come back to me later and tell me how if my analysis was right or if it was wrong or how I see it, you know. So I always pull up the news after I pull up the year's chart. Lands a they land a big contract here for $5.76, and look what happened. They loved that news, didn't they? It ran on up. Ran on up, and almost kind of, it's hard to find a real good resistance on this right now. But I do have these trend lines already drawn in here. So I was already watching this stock. I'm going to put a support right here, or resistance. And then I'm going to try to find one more spot right there. And look at that. You see where that candle is there? See how it matched up there? And then look what happened at the end of the day. Friday. We hit that spot right there around 2.2. And then I'm going to put another low support right down here around 105. So I like the news. It's got the contract. It bounced up off that news and pulled back. So low support on this thing is going to be at 15 cents. So if we get a knife, and maybe here at 19. Yeah, look at that 19. Looks real good. So if this pulls back to under 2 again, it'd be a good opportunity to jump in this stock if the volume and the momentum's still there. If not, we hit the 100 SMA right here. I don't see the 200 on here at all. So it's probably not had a lot of action. So if the volume picks up, we pull back to the little under 2, we could probably take it up here back to these two different lines. We could take it to the 2.6 area, which is going to be the 50 SMA, which is going to be a resistance, or we could take it up here to the 100 at 3.5. Now this 3.5's got to break, because that's what we had Friday. You see where that day candle is. You see how strong of a resistance that was right in here. We had a couple supports on these candles, and then you had this where it just stopped right there. And that's how I don't look at the wicks for a resistance. I look at the bases of the candles. The wicks, if it breaks the base of the candle and forms a new candle, then I'll look at that wick for the next resistance. But right now, I would look on this stock here. The next day it come up here and it pulled back, and then it's kind of stopped right in here. So this is a solid resistance right here now at 3.5. So we want to look for a pullback to get in. And anything under the 2 is where you want to really think about getting in this stock. So write that down. 0.0019 to 2. I like the contract news, but it's already had its bounce off of it. So it's going to pull back and consolidate, and then it might retrace half the distance as it did before, until it gets some more catalyst, till it gets some more news. NVLN's next. Write these numbers down. I've got them on the charts here, and I'm telling you where they are, so make sure you write them down and let me know how they turn out. And you can get a hold of me. I got my stock twits and Vegas is on here. No, just my stock twits and my Twitter page is on here, so you can also follow me there, and you can get a hold of me there if you're not in the chat room. And I'll try to respond to you, but my main purpose is the chat room, and then I will post in stock twits or Twitter. So always remember that too. And we got a pretty good little chat room that we started. It's been about a year now. You can come in and watch this for 2 weeks. If you don't like it, you can leave, or you can stick around and pay the $35 a month and join a good crew. Me and Vegas, we're on voice. You can hear us talk today, so it's good to have that voice around you, teaching you how to get in and out of stocks and finding resistances and stuff. So the next one's NVLN. And then later I'm going to go ahead and post the link to the other YouTube channel, and I'd like for everybody in here to subscribe to it. NVLN. I've been watching this one too. Right now I'm looking at the news. The news is very important to me. I just have to know something about this company before I want to jump into it. So it's definitely got bullish news on it. And then it says here, yeah, just on the bad day when the market crashed that day, it pulled back a little bit. So yeah, I'm liking the stock. Right now we're following this 50 SMA all the way down. See, every time it touches the SMA, it pulls back. We kind of have a little support right now here, right around 104, 105, and I can really get a better look at it on 20-day. Oh yeah, see, this is beautiful. It had that good news, and it bounced all the way to 185. And so I tell people, man, I say, when you get in a stock and it bounces at fucking 85 cents, you're gonna sit there and hold it and hope the next day it's gonna bounce, or you're gonna get out of it and take your profit. You know, I just can't emphasize how important it is to get out of a run, because look, once it got up here to 185, it pulled right back down to that dang support again, right down there back at a buck. So we're gonna watch this come Monday. We're gonna see the action on the tape. We're gonna see the volume. We know that support's gonna be right around $1, maybe pulls back to 105, 106, and kind of settles there like it did Friday. But it bounced up after hours and closed at 110. So this is going to be a good one to watch come Monday. It could run up here to 117 area, which I'm seeing some resistance. See that old support right here? And a little bit higher, but I want to get out during the heat. So if I was in this stock now, I'd probably get ready to sell it here at 117. Watch the tape, any kind of consolidation or pokiness, and you start seeing it go, I'd get out of it, take my profit, and wait for the pullback and get back in it. I don't think I'd swing it. But I want to see this 50 start moving up. That's what I want to see. This is NVLN. Definitely keep it on the watch list come Monday. I definitely like this stock. I'm going to pay attention to it to myself. I want to look for volume come Monday morning. And then if it has any kind of news or anything, if something pops up in the news, I'll definitely want to have a bigger eye on it. You're welcome, Joey. I'll go ahead and it'll be in this channel. And then on my regular YouTube channel, I do have a link to the other YouTube channel. So if you go to my main page. Okay, get ready to type. 1, 2, 3. Next. Next. Anybody else got a ticker they want me to look at? Not, I'm going to show a couple of my own. Boom, 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 boom. DCIX. It's a shipper stock. This stock is definitely at a bottom. We have a two times it's hit 70 cents in the past 20 days. So that's going to be a support. It's definitely, here's EPS 61 cents up from what? Sales 5 point misses the estimate by almost 2 million. That's not good. That's probably why it dropped so much. So we're down here at the bottom. I think anytime the shipper's going to run, this is going to be like a sympathy play to dries, to tops. So we're down here at the low support 70 cents. We should be able to run it back up to 80. Should be easy 10-cent flip. Then if it gets on up above 80, we can take it to 90. Then 91. And I flipped this a couple times, and so I'm seeing the double bottom at 70 cents right now, and I like that. So let's keep DCIX on watch along with TOPS, TOPS, and DRYS. So that's that one. And I'm going to look at TOPS real fast. And this TOPS, same thing. You know, I could call this thing down at 90 cents. You see TOPS at 90 cents, 94, grab you 1,000 shares of it. Grab you 1,000 shares of it and take it back up to $1.04. That's what I did last time when I flipped this stock. I got in and out of it at $1.04. It ran all the way up to 110, 111. But yet, you know, I took my profit and I was happy with $100. Dries, and you know, 2,000 shares, 3,000 at 90 cents, still a good deal. And dries, I called down here at $5 a couple weeks ago. Called this one right here. If everybody was in the room, they heard me yell it out strong. I said, this is anything close to 5 or under 5 is a buy on dries. So it ran all the way up to $6. That's a $1 flip right there on a swing trade. And I would swing dries at $5, $5.13. We hit the same thing down here. See, we consolidated for 2 days on dries at $5.20. And it bounced up. And here you go again, another 95 cent swing in a matter of 5 or 6 days. So yes, every time this gets to the low 5s, I like swinging it. And that's dries. I just love this stock. This stock was, if people remember, ran all the way up to, it was down here at 5, and it ran all the way up to $100. And a couple years ago, I think it happened. And we'll pull this back. 3-year chart. Damn it, don't see it. So it must have had a split or something. But I know people in this room that watch this stock. Pull up a 1 year. Yeah, this thing ran up to $100. I don't know where in the heck it is right now. It must have had a split or something. So definitely dries. Needs to be on your watch list at all times. Set an alert. Down here at 520. And then when an alert pops up, I'll know if I'll be able to get in the stock or not. And that's dries. Anybody got a stock they want me to look at next? Okay, got HSGX and NHPI. Then I'm going to sit here. Give me a second. I'm going to make some coffee. I'll be right back. Give me just a minute here. I'm back. I'm also watching Cops here on TV. Seen a cop the other day when I was leaving work. He was sitting up top of the hill smoking a cigarette. And I drove up by him and I said, "Officer, I appreciate your service. Enjoy that cigarette. Merry Christmas." Anybody that knows me, they know I like my coffee. I think that's the only thing that's kept me from having cancer all these years and kept me from being. I'm 57 and I still run every day and beat the bag and I run a janitorial business at night. And I come and do this in the day. So my work ethic's very strong. It's been like that all my life. Now I'm making me some coffee. Okay, I'm going to look at HSGX. Pull up the years chart. Look at that. This stock had a real nice year until back here on this date. Then all of a sudden decided to go ahead and dive. So I want to find out what's going on here on this date. 9/5. Clinical trials. Okay, it had bad news. Had bad news. And I don't want to go down much more than that. Earnings top expectations. This went down over 100 points. Slips below $1. Late stage fails. Okay, it failed the late stage study. That's why it dropped so hard. So then we're going to see what else could bring this back up. Cut to neutral from buy. 50-week lows. Had an offering, so everything's just going, you know, they don't have any money. They had against, and then here, they meet with the FDA, discuss phase 3 clinical trial data on 9/26. Then it had good news because they're going to meet with FDA. They're going to talk about potential regulatory pathway. So they want to get back in there into the game again. Had another public offering. Proposed public offering. So now this company doesn't have any money. They keep looking for money. Common stock, warrants offering, another one. Screw this company. Now, that's my opinion on that right now. So I'm going to bring this down to, let's see, this tells me a different picture. The chart does on a 20-day. So maybe if we found a bottom on this, a pullback, it's at a nice 3-day breakout. We're here at 44 cents. So I'm going to draw me a little pivot point area, which is going to be right around here, right at 48. I'm going to change this to a red line. I'm going to make 48 support for right now, a pivot point. So I want this thing, and I mean, this last 3 days looked pretty good on this stock. But see, we've hit that 20-day resistance. We hit it once right here at 58. See where we tested that 58 on a 20-day chart? And it pulled back. Almost pulled back to this pivot point area. And I was just looking at these two areas. I wasn't looking at this red line here. But it touched down to that 50. So we're going to put a solid support at 48.30. I'm going to write that down. 48.30 is going to be the pullback support on this, a pivot point, or it's going to be a support. We want that to hold. If that don't hold, we're going to go back down to 44 cents. Then we'll probably bounce up off that 44. But, you know, it's going to take a real good catalyst for me to be interested in the stock. But I'm going to keep this stock on watch because this could be an easy flipper, an easy scalp play. I would not swing it. I'd scalp it. Yep, that's right. So the next one we're going to look at. So let's see it pull back to that 48.30 area for support. And if it don't hold that, it will definitely hold at the 44. Then you might have your little scalper play on it. I wouldn't want to get in it right here. If you're waiting for if you're already in it, but if it pulls back and you're anticipating that the news is going to be good, I'd get in on the pullback. And I want to look at the daily 1 minute real fast. We had a little. I'm going to keep this on watch. I'm going to watch it Monday for sure. See if we get any kind of pullback on it. I'm going to watch the tape and I want to watch the level 2 and the volume. And I might scalp it. HSGX. And the next one's going to be NHPI. But I didn't like all the offerings on it. It has to take a catalyst for it to run. It has completed producing wells. Okay, this is a notice to discard. What's this mean? We are advised that journalists and readers should disregard the news release. Okay, so they came out with some kind of news where they screwed up. The group to buy out NHPI. Well, that doesn't have nothing to do with this stock. Yeah, it does. AMPG Group to buy out NHPI at 20 a share, April 18th, and that was false news. But that was hell. That was a long time ago. Never mind. Oh, you dumbass. It was back on the 4/18/18. So I'm not too bullish on this stock at all. We did have a nice little run here though. It ran all the way up to 28 and pulled back. And here, I mean, look at this. Almost 2.28, almost 3 cents. And here we're back on the bottom again, and we consolidated right here at this support level. So yeah, you might get a little retracement up here to this, maybe back up to penny land. So this could be a little scalp play if the volume's still there and the momentum's still there. So let's keep it on watch. NHPI. Maybe we can get a retrace. It's had a 4-day sell-off. It's had 3 days sell-off, and yet Friday it consolidated. And a lot of times when I see this pattern, it's going to go either way. And I think we can bring it back up to this resistance level here at 116. So that's where we're going to put the target on NHPI. You feel the same way with me? You've been watching it, NHPI, Nightcrawler? What do you think about it? Do you think it's going to go up or down? I want your opinion on it. Here in a second, I'm going to go up next. You got 1,000? Okay. Well, that's not enough. You need more than that. On a stock like this, you want to spend at least $800 on it to get any money out of it. Buy 100,000 shares. So you got to keep when you're dealing with these penny stocks, you got to remind yourself how much you want to make on a trade. And then you want to watch the average shares that are going in, the blocks, and sometimes like 400,000 blocks or people are interested in the trade. When if you're just seeing small little block trades on it, you got little guys in here that don't know much about it, and they don't know how to make a little bit of profit. So you want to make at least about $50 on this trade, $100 on a trade. So if you go up 0.002, you times that times how many shares, which would equal to how much money you want to get out of the trade. But share proportion, a lot of times, I'm not a big trader. I don't like to put a lot of shares in a stock, but I will try to make at least $100, $200 a trade on average. But when I'm scalping, I'm happy with 50 because I know I'm going to scalp it 3, 4, 5, 6 times on a day that's had like ALQA. I did real good on that Friday, real good. About 5 times my average day, which I'm happy with 300 a day. Now I can make a lot more than that probably. Here in about another year, I probably will, because I'll be retired from my job. I have to make up more income. But this is a hobby for me right now. It keeps me excited. I'm not here to become a billionaire, but I do want to become a millionaire. And I think I'm there. I just, chart-wise, I'm going to draw a couple more trend lines in here. So I'm getting ready to go out next. And then I'm going to pull up my watch list. I also want to pull up percentage gainers here. This is a scan that's on TOS that I look at every day. I like to look on this scan, and I'll usually go up volume high first and see what's on top of the list. We had BEL, ALQA, which we watched. XPO hit the scanner. UXIN, we flipped that a couple of times. That was a good little, been a good trade here for the last week, UXIN, especially at the end of the day. You want to keep a good eye on this one. If it don't break out the first of the day, watch it at the very end of the day. If it breaks out the first of the day, it'll pull back and probably bounce back up to that high, maybe. Or definitely watch it the next day. Fits at 490. I like going through here and just kind of looking at stocks. The WPM had a real good day Friday, up $2.35. It probably could pull back to this 1827 or right here. WPM. I'm going to draw me a couple of supports here, and I'm going to set an alert right here on this one. Ask, above, create. So I got me a little alert set on that. If we hit that, we're going to see the price action. It can pull back here to another 1748. Maybe even back down here to 1682. 84. So I'm going to keep an eye on this one, WPM, come Monday. I'll write that on paper. And seeing Barclays up, wheat and precious metals to $22. Barclays did. Keeps it at overweight. Stock surges 14%. So let's see if we get a 7% retracement on this and bounce back up. 50% drop, you know, from that 14%. I kind of like that idea. CGIX, did we talk about that one already? I'll look at it here in a second. That had a nice, if I remember, that had a great run Friday. Have drink coffee. I'm going to put another support right at 1665. So keep WPM on watch. Then I'm going to look at a couple more here. Oh, he wants me to look at CGIX. This is a stock that was really impressive the other day. I had a 2-day run on this. This nice little chart. Look at after hours. Even had you a ascending flag here. See that ascending flag? Where it kind of just went to the right here and created that doji. Is that doji? And this is about these flags. You had the big breakout, and then you had the pennant. It's kind of like a pennant flag. A beautiful little daily setup right here. Then when that doji pulled up at the very end, set doji, then you had to bounce up. So that would have been a nice little 5-cent bounce right there, 6-cent bounce. Support's going to be right around, whoop, can't do that. Support's going to be right around here at 5.53. If it pulls back, and it can pull back to right about here, right at 5, maybe a little lower, you know, 4.9. And if that 4.9 holds, you might have another little breakout come up here. So keep an eye on between 4.9 and 5.3 for support. Somewhere in that area right in there. We'll see what happens on it. Yeah, CGIX is bullish. Let's see if there's any Biotech. I'm not seeing any news. Cancer Genetics EPS was 31 cents down from 16 per share. Yeah, sales sucked on it, but the stock's up. And that was last month. They must have forgot about that. And what's this offering here? Biotech here, Roundup and Development. I think it's going to pull back, but I don't know. This is one we definitely want to watch Monday. CGIX. I'm kind of befuddled by it right now. I noticed it popping up on the scanner for 2 days. So let's see if we can get back down here to 49.50 to 53. And then from there, maybe 49, and watch the action from there. That's CGIX. I'm going to write that down here. 49 to 53 support. And everybody that's in this chat right now, I want to let you know, I don't like to chase. I like to find the supports and jump in on the support. And a lot of times they pull back to that support. You might think, well, he's wrong, you know, he's goofy, but if you watch the way I trade, you'll catch on. Okay, anybody else have one they want me to look at? If not, I'm going to go through a couple others and call it quits. Let's look at Cron. Cron's my favorite one. Now, thing about Cron, we had that big run off that Marlboro news. And then it pulled back and bounced back and pulled back and then kind of bounced up and consolidated and pulled back, consolidated at this old resistance right in here. You see that, where that previous high is? And we pulled back right to that. And I was calling out in the room, it's $11, man. It might be the spot to get in, take it for a small bounce up, 50, 60 cents. And that's exactly what happened. See this other trend line right here where it hit there and it failed? So I went off that trend line, and that's where we ended up at. So Cron, I'm still bullish on it. We're going to keep an eye on it Monday. And we're going to keep an eye on Tillery. We're going to keep an eye on InBev. And we're going to keep an eye on ACB and GCG. Those are the 5 pot stocks, and I'll type them in the room again. We got InBev, CGC, Cron, what else? ACB, and TLRY. Some idiot came out and shorted Tillery. So we still might go down a little bit more on it, but it did bounce back up. Okay, Pura. Pura is also, and Cali. And they came out with this bone and skull something on Cali, and I called the pullback on Cali perfect. And I called it on the last video. I said after that great run we had, and it's always after these great runs some idiot will come out and badmouth the stock and try to bring it down so he can get in it and flip it himself. I'm bullish on this stock, and I don't care what some idiot comes out. And it's a big market thing that came out and bashed this stock. And I was just laughing at it. So I called this pullback. Oh, this is Cron. Let me get Cali up here. And I hit it right on. We had this big run on Cali up here at about, we called 15 cents too in the room, and we hit 14.9. Called not 15 cents, but 1.5. Penny, you know, penny 5, penny and a half. And the sucker hit 149, so we hit that perfect. And then I called the pullback. We had the pullback to 11, it bounced back up, tried to retrace, and then that idiot came out with the news about it being skull and something. So I had me a support level here at 9.3, and I said when we had this run that it's going to pull back to this 9.3 and consolidate. And bam, man, you had plenty of opportunity to play this stock Friday if you had the guts to get in it with me. So it hit the 9.3 and it bounced up a little bit and run up there to about 11. There's a couple $100 right there, or $100. Then it pulled back to that lower support at 8 and bounced right off of it and hit the 50 SMA and played with that 50. And then came back and hit that 9.3 again and bounced back up and hit that 50. So Cali can still pull back because, everybody was pushing this skull thing on me Friday, and I was just laughing at them all. I said, I'm still bullish on this stock. But it can pull back more. I mean, we've had it up here before, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Well, I'm pretty sure this sucker run up once before. Let me go back a little farther. Yeah. So we had a great run on this when we called it down here at the low. Right around 2 cents is where we called it at. And it ran all the way up and hit this level right in here, right around 8, and pulled back to support. And then we had that big run Thursday, and it bounced up to 15, then it pulled back and consolidated. So now that I look at a bigger picture, we can come back and hit this support at 7 again, maybe. So I'm just going to keep Cali on a good watch. And Pura, I was talking, this would be the sympathy play to Cali. And with the farm bill, Cali ran because of the farm bill. Anything to do with CBD oil ran, and oh, I got one I want to show you. We'll do this Pura first. That's right. But it might roam, it might pull back though. So just keep it on your watch list. Don't jump in it, chase it. So here's Pura. Pura's kind of the same way. Vegas, and I told Vegas I heard Timothy Sykes talk about this, and he kind of took it off his watch list. And I got to looking at it, and I'm bullish on these pot stocks. Just more than probably all these other traders out there that've been one. I think there's a big disconnect with the fat cats up there on Wall Street and us private sector traders. There's a big disconnect. They don't realize that we play with the economy and they play with the world economy. And plus, they don't like who's running the country right now up there at Wall Street. So they've been bashing this market for 2 years, but for a whole year it ran all the way up, and they've been wanting to short it. But this is the best economy I've seen in my lifetime here in the United States. And I grew up during the Carter recession. I've seen, the Reagan bounce. I've seen the dot-com boom. And I was able to witness what the dot-com did to the private sector and people that invest when the internet came out. And that allowed traders like you and me and the average Joe to play this market. So anybody that can't be successful in today's economy, they don't want to work, because there's plenty of opportunity out there for anybody to be successful in about any business right now. Oil, energy. If you're a computer geek, or you can do what we do and make an average of $100 an hour easily every day. Make lawyers pay. So I've seen that boom. So anybody that's on welfare today, it's just they don't care and they don't want to make something themselves. I think anybody, I've got people that are disabled. I got a friend that has a third of his brain missing and still trades, that I've been teaching for the last couple of years. And I've got a couple of others that are paralytic that trade, that I help out, that can barely move their hands, but they're making money. They sit in a wheelchair and they're paralyzed, but still they're capable of still playing on the internet and try to make money. So anybody with any kind of disability, unless you're really a wacko, can make money on the internet trading stocks. And that's what's the big disconnect with the fat cats on Wall Street, is they're not used to us getting in here and fist fighting them on these stocks. So they had a heck of a time to try to bring this market down. They finally did it after day after day after day of bashing in the news. So that's why I took the news out. I don't even listen to that crap anymore. So here's Pura. I think we're back down at that support level. Very critical support level here at 8. We could take this easily back up to 10. You'll have you a 2-cent flip on this thing easily. And it's bullish because of the farm bill. And they're going to be growing so much hemp. I mean, it's really going to take over the medical industry too. And that's another thing that these fat cats don't want. They want to keep putting their money in these pharmacies. But I do believe I have epilepsy, and for the past, ever since I was 16, I've had, you know, a pretty good little habit of getting high, and I do believe that it stopped me from having grand mal seizures, petit mal seizures, and now I just have them every 3 minutes in my brain, but I don't actually feel them, but they're there. So I do believe, and I quit taking the pills because it made me sleep all day, and I couldn't learn, I couldn't do nothing. At least I can function when I'm high, and I've done it most of my life, so ever since I was about 8 years old. So this is Pura. Keep a good eye on it. I love it. Now, I'm going to look at a couple. I'm not high today. I've kind of cut back a lot. I'm kind of telling myself I might cut back for a couple months. So let me get a couple more watch lists. The Dow Jones closed at almost 500 points Friday, and everybody, I think, in our room was green. Because right out of the gate, I said, be patient, wait for the pullbacks, and then play these bounce plays, especially on the stocks that we like. So you got to keep a good running watch list going of at least 10 to 12 stocks if you're a beginner, and try to bring it up to 20, and then constantly go over that watch list and clean it up and add new tickers in it, the ones that are running the previous day. Just kind of keep rotating that watch list, and there's going to be 2 or 3 good plays out of that watch list every day if you create a good one. So let me see what else I got. I'll show you my watch list. I started one the other day, and this is how it looked Friday. Then I'll tell you another thing I like to do on a real red day. But this is Friday's watch list. I'm going to go volume high. I had Cali on there. That was one of my plays that I called perfect. Oh, this is the other stock I wanted to talk about, HMPQ. HMPQ called this baby out too right before the breakout during the Farm Bill. This was down below a penny, and I've been actually called it out at 8. When it was down here at 8.5, I said 8.3. I said, when this Farm Bill passes, this thing's going to bounce up. It's going to be a nice flipper. You might get 200% out of it easy. Very easy. And then the week or two went by, and it kept kind of gradually going up. And then once it hit that 1, it held for a little bit, and then bam, you run all the way to 25. I had a 3-cent target on this thing. So we come real close to that 3 cent. We hit 275, 27, almost 28. And now it's pulled back and retraced. This is HMPQ. Keep that on your watch list for the Farm Bill. I really like this stock, and I've played it very well. So if it gets back down to that penny land, or maybe retrace back to this 12 area, 13 area, we could probably see another pop up back to 16 to 17 cents. I mean, penny 6, penny 7, 0.01617. So keep this is a CBD. They'll take all them hemp plants and turn all that stuff into oil. They've got all the machinery, and they've got all the setup. They've got everything. They got a full-scale production. And they're estimating their first yield of hemp harvest is going to be over $1 million in revenue. So this is definitely one to keep on watch. Now I'm going to go back to my watch list and see what we've got hopping on it come Friday. The biggest volume one was that Cali. Everybody got scared in it, sold it, but I got in it and played the bounce. HMPQ, I was not in Friday. So, but definitely was in it before that. I just took a profit and ran. Here we are, AMD in third place. Keep that on watch. Anything under 20. If it dips down to like 19, it could be a bounce play to 20. Keep InBev on your watch list. InBev had a big pullback. Let me pull that chart up. Something about InBev. Yeah, I think this news that came out on these puts scared people. And so people sold off. And then they're on January the 18th, $6 puts. So they thinking if this thing bounced up that it would pull back to that $6 area. They're idiots. What it'll probably do, pull back below that and then bounce up to that $6. Pull back to around 5. So they don't know how to play this chart. Okay, you want me to? I'll check that out. YECOF. So definitely keep InBev on watch. I'm going to pull up a daily chart. We called this out in the room, and I was telling people it's 536. Get in it. Get in it. Because that knife. See, everybody had that real weird reaction. I mean, this sucker was up here. And then it knifed. And then I told people in the room, I said, this news is going to be affecting people's brain, and it's not the reason why it's pulling back. It's the reason why it's pulling back, and they're reading it wrong. So it bounced right once it hit down there, man. I was yelling it in the room. Get in it, get in it. And it ran all the way up to $6. So that was a nice little flip. And that's 594 was my resistance off an extended trend line. And I'll show a 10-day chart. All these trend lines. And I keep adding them every day. I keep adding them, subtracting them. I called this little flag here, and it pulled back. I thought it was going to bounce. Should have realized it didn't, though. And then it went ahead and pulled back for about, hour and a half. Then right into close, it did. It did exactly what I thought it was going to do, bounce on up. Just didn't react right at the beginning. But then we had so InBevs, keep it always on watch. Any kind of pullback on this thing. Right now, support levels right here at 552. Oh, the wrong chart, wrong tool. 552 is going to be your support so far on InBev. Then I'm going to check this other stock out. And this is YECOF. Oh, was this new IPO or something? Did a reverse split Friday. YECOF. Flipped way up before the split. We tried flipping it. Oh, I'm getting kind of a weird chart here. Oh, okay. This must be a new ticker name or something, right? Positive NASDAQ list, yeah. Okay, receives positive NASDAQ listing. Termination to resume trading on NASDAQ on 9/30. Something ain't making any sense on this. So I'm pulling up yours chart. This is what I get. One candle. I'll watch it Monday, but I don't know what to think of it right now. Oh, yes. Now I get it. Waco. Okay, I got you. YECO. Okay. Duh. The Michelangelo crucifixion painting and the big rock that's worth how many $1 million? So it went OTC is what it done. It went OTC from the NASDAQ. That's what happened. And it sold off. There wasn't, I don't think it was reverse split. Yeah, let's keep this on watch. It can probably drop more now that it's OTC, but it's definitely going to be a moneymaker here in a little bit. We closed down at the low. Well, what crushed it, it went to OCT, went from NASDAQ to OTC. And people have been, a lot of people don't know this. I posted this a couple times in Stock Twits, and I get bashed for it from the shorters. They want to short this thing because they think back then that's when they bought that rock for all them millions of dollars, and they laughed about it. So they're spending money on very expensive artifacts. Kind of smart. So it's kind of like an investment kind of thing, Majigger. So we'll definitely keep it on watch. Any kind of pullback, we could probably get some small scalps out of it. Okay, but we did close at the bottom on Friday. It dropped down $2. So we could get a retracement very easily on this thing. And let's look at a couple resistance points. One's going to be right here at 229, 230. We'll probably see that for sure. And then we probably could bounce right up here to the 254 area, and that's where it's going to have a little difficulty. So now that I know what I'm talking about, I have and see what happens. See if I'm right. 230, consolidate, then 254. And then any kind of pullback, you could use this support at 207 as resistance. Did you hear me? Any kind of pullback from here, use that low support that we had Friday as a resistance. 207. So I'm going to type that in here too. Pullback. Not type it, but write it down. Pullback, look for 207. Now I keep a journal. That's something that everybody that trades should do. Have a notepad in front of them and write down little notes about something that you see, because you know you're not going to remember everything. I have a pornographic memory. I can remember every girl. Stock. So I think I'm going to close it up with one more watch list I want to show everybody. On like Fridays, when you have a real bad day, you want to look at two watch lists that TOS creates. One of them's called a percentage gainer, and the other one's called a percentage loser. I'm going to pull up the gainer, which I did and already worked off of it. Showed you stocks I liked on here already. Now I want to show you a little different story. It's called the percentage losers. Now there's stocks on here that I could probably remember playing back in the, like Shop. Look at Shop. It's down $20. shop is. 153. So it was down $20 from the highs. SWN down 35 cents, bounced up after hours. That could have been a nice little play. Adele, one that had that big run the other day and I played the heck out of. Let me show you this chart. Look at this. It's on that percentage losers. And I called this Adele out when it hit this run here. Man, this was just beautiful. 141 all the way to $5. And I called it perfect. Now we had that retracement. It bounced back up Thursday and we consolidated again. So let's see if we can get this down about halfway, somewhere in this level in here, and create a support right around $3. Adele. So let's look for Adele. And I was tickled. This was another great play we did in the room that I called out all day long on Thursday. Then we had ALQA Friday. So every day we've got one good stock we can play. And I focus on that. I look for that right out at the gate for the ones that I really want to watch. That share rotation, a lot of volume, and good news. Got to have news if I want to keep playing it. If it doesn't have any news, good news, and it runs like that, you're going to get you a knife. So you're going to put your caution flag up. Got to have news. To keep playing it all day long. If it doesn't have the news, be skeptical. And I'm talking, and go back, and I keep repeating history. Go back in history. If it's got good news in history, it could be just a sell-off from the good news, and it's going to bounce right back up. Maybe not as high, but you'll get a bounce. You know, I go back a whole year and look at earnings, but it's got to have news. And other people will play on volume, but to really be a bullish, it has to have some kind of catalyst. You got catalysts. You got your low floater pumpers. You got your people that like to short. You're competing with all these other entities out there. I'm the guy that likes to play the pullbacks and the bounces. I can see them all day long. And if, you know, and I look at the floats and I look at the news and I put, you know, I have 5 things I look at. I don't like to overcrowd myself. I'll look at my moving averages. I'll look at the tape. Look at the level 2. I'll look at the news. And then I'll just look at the action. In other chat rooms talking about it. People, you know, I know a lot of traders and I know who to trust and who not to trust. I know who got lucky and who didn't get lucky. You know, there's people out here that's made a lot of money just at the right time. They were there at the right time. And your time will come. Everybody's time will come if they stick to it. So I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I only got 4 people watching now. So I wish everybody a great week. Been on here for a couple hours. 2 hours exactly. Merry Christmas. Follow me on Stock Twits and Twitter. You can find what room I'm in on Stock Twits, Bravidia, and I'm in a couple other rooms too, helping them out with alerts. And everybody have Merry Christmas, and I'm out of here. Thanks for showing up.